Hello everybody, this is Technician at Parts Guru. In the segment today, I'm going to display the opening of the Xelsys Academia and Xprelia machines. Right now I have here Gaja Academia, but the Seiko Xelsys and Xprelia models, they are also identical. We will show you first how to disassemble the top part of the machine to access the grinder. And the common error about the grinder is error code 1, which reflects that the grinder is blocked. And if the grinder is blocked, you cannot make coffee. So we will show you how to access the grinder and how to troubleshoot the problem due to error code 1. In order to open the top cover of the machine for having access to the internal parts, there are 4 screws. They are the size torque 10, torque for letter T. T10 is the size of the screwdriver. And there are 2 screws on one side under the lid for grinder. And there are 2 on the side here on the water tank side. There are again 2 here. I will remove this and get back. I have lifted the top cover of the machine, and you will notice here that there are 2 wires that are still connected to the top cover. One is for the cup warmer on the top of the machine, and this is the ground wire, and there is another wire here for the coffee bean sensor that will tell you the beans are low or add beans message. So now the grinder is visible, so that in order to remove the cover on the grinder, we have 2 screws here. I will unscrew them. Okay, this rubber cover on the grinder is removed. Now we have the grinder visible, and also because of the error code 1, we are going to explore some of the possibilities that could cause that. First possibility is that there is too much coffee in the grinding chamber, and that is clogging the outlet of coffee from the grinding chamber. So the grinder can be grinding the coffee, but if it is not going out, then there is fullness inside, and there will be no more beans entering the grinder, and the message will be error code 1, that is the grinder is clogged. So our next step will be to open the grinding chamber. For that, we have to turn this adjustment wheel counterclockwise to the left so that we can get it released and lift it up. In order to turn that, we have to press this adjustment key lock, press it hard, and then turn this grind adjustment wheel to the left until it is released. Now make sure that you know the difference between these locking tabs. There are 3 of them, and 2 of them are smaller than the 3rd one, which identifies the position in which you have to replace this adjustment wheel. This is the large tab, and these 2 are the small ones. So the large one will go in this direction. And then you turn it clockwise to lock it. And in order to lock it again, you have to press to release the grind adjustment wheel, and then you can turn it. Otherwise, it will be just too difficult. Now that we have removed the grind adjustment wheel, you will see the grinder is almost buried with coffee deposits. The fine coffee is all around the grinder burr, and it will cause a little difficulty in spinning it easily, and that is why the grinder blocked error code will come up. Now I will try to show you the clogged coffee. All this coffee is clogged around the grinder burr. Then the oilier the bean one uses, the harder this crust will be, and it will jam the grinder burr from spinning. So that extra tension that will be created, that is sensed by the power board and the motor and the sensor, and the error code is a definite symptom that will be displayed. Error code 1. So there is so much of coffee here, and I will empty this. Here on the bottom of the grinding chamber, there is a little housing, black plastic housing for the Hall effect sensor. This sensor is monitoring the spin speed of the plastic gear. The plastic gear has two magnet dots, and those magnet dots, when they spin in front of the Hall effect sensor, the sensor is sending the pulse of each turn to the power board, registering the number of pulses that have been sent and how much coffee has been ground. So this is a little ticklish to remove because you can damage it in the effort to remove it. So my best recommendation is to separate the bottom part of the grinding chamber that is connected to grinder motor. So before I try to remove the lower portion of the motor and the plastic gear housing, I have to separate these two wire connectors to the grinder motor, and then I will pull the connector wires going to the Hall effect sensor. Our next step is to separate the grinding chamber with the lower casing for the plastic gear, the Hall effect sensor, and the motor. This is all in one. I have to remove these 4 screws, which is by using the Torque 10 screwdriver. If you remove these 4 screws, the lower portion will come off, and you have that plastic gear with the 2 magnet blocks here which spin in front of the Hall effect sensor. And each of these magnets, when they are spinning, they are actually allowing the Hall effect sensor to send pulses to the power board. Now this has been removed. This piece, if you need to replace the motor, then the tray comes with it, and the plastic gear will be also included in this. Now make note here that the worm drive in the front has this plug. So this plug has the purpose to stop this worm drive from moving forward. And even if it is a 1 millimeter distance, but when it moves forward, it affects the spin speed of the plastic gear, and that will send a wrong number of pulses to the power board. And so now I will show you how to remove the Hall effect sensor. This black housing has the Hall effect sensor encased. Many customers ask, they have some difficulty in removing that case. So I will show you now that in the front end of this casing, you have a little raised portion that you have to press and move it a little so that you have in the back, then push the flat screwdriver to nudge it out. Now that the complete assembly is out, this is the portion where, this one is the portion where you have to press it gently and at the same time nudge it a little towards the forward, or removing the complete casing. Once the casing is out, on the underside of this you will see this little notch, or it is a locking pin in a way that you need to pull it out a little, and this is actually locking it in the bottom. Once this is removed, then you can slide the Hall effect sensor out. The little part, but very sensitive, and actually literally it is controlling the movement of the grinder and the burrs, and also sending the pulses to the power board to register how many grams of coffee has been ground. So to replace the new one, you just slide this in until it locks, and you close the housing. You are back in place, and then you can insert it in the same way back. Remember, there are some fine rails here where this piece will slide in. Locked in. So this is the one of the steps that you need to replace the Hall effect sensor. You will replace the plastic grinder with the two magnets on it as sensors, and here in the front is the plug that holds the grinder worm drive from moving forward. So if this is out, you just have to push this back in and snap it in. Now we're trying to remove this plastic gear. In order to unscrew this one single center screw, which is torque 20, that's the size that you need. And we have to hold this other end with a socket connector or a wrench, whichever is available. You can hold this on the other side and then unscrew the torque 20 screw in the bottom to remove the plastic gear. This is a torque 20 bit. I'm inserting it here. And right now I don't have a socket drive, but I will use the wrench. The wrench will hold the bottom hex nut here, and with that held in place, I will use torque 20 screwdriver and unscrew that. This has come off. Be careful with this washer and another washer here. Before you replace this gear, you have to notice that this is a dented locking center here. So you have to carefully lift it without damaging those teeth. the teeth get worn out because of the speed with which it spins for years, and it has been serving well to grind the coffee and send the pulses to the power board. But there comes a point where everything ages and wears, and we have to replace them. That's the game. And that is why these videos are very helpful. See, this is the tooth pin in the center on which the gear has to slide. And the purpose is actually to not let the gear slip while it is spinning so fast. And the new gear will be pushed on with some grease applied on it. And you'll see, I think this gear is worn because the teeth are not as sharp as in the new one. I cannot show you the difference because even for the naked eye, it's very difficult to find that worn teeth as they are. But it's not very expensive. If you replace it, it will make you happy. The grinder will work without any error code. So this is the new gear, and voila, if I try to notice this with my eyes, I cannot find the difference. But because of the age and number of years that it has been spinning, and that worm drive is in metal, obviously there will be some wear which we cannot see with the naked eye. But we are going to replace the gear. Here is some lube that we will apply. Take a blob, apply it on the teeth. Okay, I'll apply some on the center pin here, so it will not give me a hard time trying to slide this gear on it. You have to just play and press it gently to seat it in place. And then you have this washer. And then the center screw. This will be tightened onto this cam here. So this screw is back in place. We will seat it inside this assembly. Those 4 screws will go and fasten the grinding chamber. We have replaced the plastic gear with sensors, 2 magnets on it. It is now locked in its housing. I always recommend, because anyone doing this repair at home, they will be doing it for the first time, so please make notes, take a little pictures of the process every 3 or 4 steps, so that instead of scratching your head, you will know how to reassemble the complete grinder again and install it back in the machine. I think this helps most of the owners of machines with ceramic burr grinder to replace the grinder burrs or replace the motor, replace the plastic gear or the Hall effect sensor, whichever is bad. But the error code is a very significant error. because it relates to 4 or 5 problems that are causing that error to come up, and all are related to the ceramic burr grinder. I personally think that the ceramic burr grinder is very sensitive, and it has some electronic parts that operate this whole grinder assembly. So you have to be careful and promise yourself you will not use oily beans. If you are finding it hard to find the non-oily beans, we do sell high quality espresso beans which are not oily. If you need some help there, we do have the beans. You can call us and order them. We have 4 different blends, and all of them are non-oily. And the advantage we offer is free shipping. If you order 3 bags, you get the 4th one free. So these are the incentives we offer. And for all the efforts and the time we spend to help customers, I think we will appreciate it very much if we get some orders for the beans. Thank you for watching, and the reassembly of the rest is very easy, and good luck.